Umain recommends. Access umain.uk.net. In this Umain recommends we read a sample of the article, How We Got Here and the Public Sector Equality Duty. During 2019 to 2020, we revised our strategic equality plan taking into account various national and local research findings, latest data available to the Council and issues raised by local equality groups during meetings of our Equality and Community Cohesion Group, consisting of senior officers of the Council, the police, representatives of local equality groups, organisations, and communities. Local research was carried out with members of our Black and minority ethnic, BME, communities, people with experiences of low income, disabled people, members of the Gypsy and Traveller community and our local communities in general. A number of common threads were identified throughout the process, including hate crime incidents, poverty and barriers when accessing services, which were consequently incorporated into the equality objectives. We were just weeks away from presenting the Strategic Equality Plan and our revised equality objectives to Cabinet and its subsequent publication in April 2020 when the COVID-19 pandemic hit and we entered the first period of lockdown. All executive reporting arrangements were disrupted and we mobilized an emergency response to the developing national emergency. This had a massive impact on the delivery of our services. Some of our services closed down to assist in reducing the spread of the disease, whilst other services changed so that critical services could operate safely. In addition, new services were established to support our communities through the crisis. In light of the national situation at the end of March 2020, the Equality and Human Rights Commission suspended statutory deadlines for publishing strategic equality plans and equality objectives until October 2020. However, while lockdown delayed the publication of the Strategic Equality Plan, it also provided an opportunity to reconsider the appropriateness of our equality objectives and the proposed actions, in light of the unfolding impact of coronavirus on members of our most vulnerable communities, especially on those from our Black and minority ethnic communities. At an early stage in the outbreak, we recognized that the Strategic Equality Plan and equality objectives would need to be reviewed to address the impact the pandemic was having on our local communities. It became increasingly apparent as weeks went on that while all communities were being affected, Black and minority ethnic communities were being affected disproportionately, in matters of health, as key workers, with the severe effects on employment as well as accessible education for children and young people. The horrific killing of George Floyd on the 25th of May 2020, along with other events in our recent history, as well as the devastating impact the pandemic has had on Black and minority ethnic communities, has brought into sharp focus the deep-seated negative attitudes and behaviors that remain towards people from these communities. As a consequence, it was recognized that the equality objectives and actions would need to be reviewed to ensure the impact of these events on our local communities were addressed. In his address to Council in July 2020, the leader gave a commitment to initiate a fresh look at how we work with our Black, Asian, and minority ethnic communities in Neath Port Talbot to achieve equality, equity and social cohesion and to bring about societal change to demonstrate that Black lives matter. This accentuated the need to further review our equality objectives and actions, particularly in light of evidence provided to UK and national government committees, as well as research findings on the impact of the coronavirus outbreak, the reported concerns of members of Black and minority ethnic communities in direct response to the Black Lives Matter movement and evidence used in the initial development of our equality objectives. The Equality and Community Cohesion Group, instrumental in the initial development of the equality objectives, again played a crucial role in the assessment, and collectively we were satisfied that our equality objectives were an accurate reflection of those areas that cause concern, distress and anguish for many. The equality objectives were published in the Strategic Equality Plan 2020 to 2024 in October 2020. However, the actions required further review and alternative actions to better meet the objectives. These were developed with the involvement of our workforce and of our communities, most notably our Black and minority ethnic communities. This has been invaluable in helping identify actions that not only help address the impacts of COVID-19 but also the wider inequalities faced by these communities. BAME or BME? Following events in summer 2020, there appeared to be a marked transition to the use of BAME across government departments, media, and academia. While no doubt this was well-intentioned to provide a more encompassing collective terminology for communities, it led to the overuse and misuse of the term, which caused a backlash from various individuals and minority ethnic communities. We, along with many other public bodies, adopted this terminology but tried to be mindful of its intended use, an acronym minority ethnic communities, rather than used as a word community in its own right. The NPT-BME Community Association were also skeptical about the use of the acronym and informed us that they would prefer the use of BME and ethnic minority. BAME is considered controversial because people are using it as a word as opposed to an acronym, e.g. BAME woman, BAME solicitor, BAME children. BAME would be okay to use if each word was written out, but people do not often do this. Over time, there is a fear it will become a meaningless buzzword, thus creating an additional barrier to engagement, as some people may want to distance themselves from this word. Consequently, going forward we will return to using BME, Black and Minority Ethnic, or Minority Ethnic Communities, or use the individual names of the minority ethnic community in our documentation. Did you like this recommendation? Hit the like button and read it in full by clicking on the link provided in this video description. All citations recommended here are solely for educational purposes. Our aim is to provide the community with access to the educational inclusive materials of excellency we come across, yours included. If you hold the copyright of any video or article cited here, or you think they should not be available on our channel, please let us know and we'll remove them at your discretion.